Hello guys, welcome to the very first Lee Stafford Education Live. My name's Lee Stafford and I'm going to be your host throughout this video. So let me share with you what I'm going to do. This is what we call the Club Cup, and it's a combination of Lee Stafford Education recipes. So let me share with you the sectioning first of all. So the sectioning is a classic horseshoe on the top. It goes from recession, goes through to a rounded section just underneath the crown. Now, the mathematics in this is a classic Lee Stafford Education horseshoe. Whatever the distance is there at the sides, you want to make it the same on the other side, and the top is that distance and half again. So it's 1.5 what it is at the sides. Then around the back, what we've done, we've taken a section from the occipital bone, and it's gone through to just above the ears, which has created this middle section through the back. And then all we've done, just at the side there, is taken a little diagonal section just in front of the ear, just like a couple of centimetres back from the hairline, and that has been bumped, and that's going to be disconnected. It's out of the way. Okay, so the haircut.
I'm going to interrupt. We've got a comment. We've got a Jessica Jane Stafford.
Who's
hello,
that?
sexy.
Oh, hello, baby. How you doing? Are you downstairs? Right, so the first section, yeah. So we're going to take my feet. It's very important, my body position now. My feet want to be literally nailed to the floor. I don't want to move them throughout this back section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a horizontal section just under this section here, and I'm going to pull it out straight from the head. Now what I want to be aware of is my hairline down here, because I don't want this to fall below the hairline. So I'm going to pull it out straight from the head, and I'm going to cut this, maybe leave it a touch longer to begin with. I'm going to cut this just nice and square. And like I say, I don't want this to fall below that hairline. Okay, I think I'll take a little bit more off of that. Don't want this to be spiky short, but I don't want it to fall below that bottom hairline just there. Okay, once I'm comfortable with where that is sitting in relation to that hairline, I'm then going to take another horizontal section to the side of it, and I'm going to pull this right the way up. My feet are still nailed to the floor. They're not moving anywhere. My body is right at the back, centered. I'm pulling this straight out, making sure that my finger angle is pointing directly to, well, there's not actually a wall there, but if it was a wall, it's the outside, directly to there, keeping it nice and square.
Can I just ask, do you prefer to wear socks and sandals together normally? Is it better for the hair?
Well, it's summer, it's indoors, isn't it? You know, it's casual, isn't it? Right, and then the other side, I take another horizontal section. So either side, I've taken a horizontal section, pulling it straight out from the head. My feet are nailed to the floor, and then I'm going to cut that nice and square again. And because I'm not moving my body, and because I'm not moving my feet either, I'm pulling this out. Because I'm cutting a dead square line, my finger angle is pointing directly to the side of me. I'm getting this build up of weight behind the ear there on both sides, just by cutting a simple square line all the way through it. I'm then going to take another horizontal section just below it, and I'm going to pull everything up to my first section, straight out from the head. So when we say a club cut, this is what we mean by a club cut. We're just club cutting it all to exactly the same position on the head. So I'm just pulling it all up to meet that first section, then I'm taking another section to the side, making sure that my feet don't move anywhere. It's really important, because the minute my feet move round to the side, that's when I'm going to round this off, and I want to keep the length behind the ear there. So my feet are in the same position the whole way through. Just check my finger angle to make sure that it's pointing directly to the side of me. Then I'm just going to cut a nice simple line which is going to be creating length behind the ear. Do the same thing on the other side. There's only 3 sections here. The first section, this section, and then one below it, and you're done. So it's nice and fast. And because of your body position, your feet position, you get the balance really easy on both sides. So this is the last section now. So we're pulling this all the way up. So it's coming directly out of the head. And then we're just cutting that straight, square line, making sure that my fingers, as long as my fingers are always pointing that way, I'm going to get my balance perfect on either side. The minute that my fingers start pointing over there or over there, pointing somewhere different than directly to the side of me, is when the balance will start going wonky. So we've pulled all this up. Now we're going to go to the side again. So we always start at the middle, then the side, then this side, then go to the middle again, this side, that side. It's just easier to get your balance right I find it easier anyway, going from side to side like that.
We've got Doncaster College watching.
Hello Doncaster College, how you doing?
They are very good. We've got a question.
Yeah.
Where have the pink socks gone?
The pink
and that is
socks.
From Stafford.
Do you know what? I was very nearly going to put the pink socks on today, but I didn't. I went for the white one, Steph. Don't know why. I'll bring them out for you next time, yeah? Okay, guys. So that has all been pulled up, nice and simple. That is my first club cut. There's going to be 7 club cuts in this haircut. That was the first one, pulling it all up to that point and just cutting a square line. Now, for the sake of time, there's one that I prepared earlier for you, just so I haven't got to spend time blow drying this. So this has been cut exactly the same as I cut that last head. And this is the shape that you get from that simple line. So it appears like you've got a really nice little graduated shape through the middle there, and where we've over directed it, we've created that length behind the ear. So we're now going to put our scissors down for a minute. We're going to pick up some clippers, and I'm going to get my chair down and my head sort of in, well, where I'm thinking about putting the line, get my eyesight sort of in that area. Then what I'm going to do now, with the clippers all the way up, I'm just going to work out where I want, or where I think that line is going to sit nicely in comparison to that graduation. So I'm just going to get the clippers, I'm just going to push them right the way in, right the way into the, right to the skin of this mannequin head. And now I am going to move my body to the side, and I'm just going to work this line all the way around visually now. And don't get too het up in getting this perfect to begin with. All we're really doing is just sketching a line here. So I'm combing it down where the hair wants to fall quite natural, and then using the clippers and creating the line. And like I say, I'm just sketching this in, and I'm doing it dry just because I find it a lot easier to do it when it's dry. I'm also doing it with the head up, because I don't know about you guys, but for years I would cut a bob with the head down and just literally do that, just hoping when the person put their head up that it was going to be the length that we agreed. So I just find it a lot easier to do it with the head up. I'm not saying that that's the only way to do it by any stretch, but I find it easy. And I'm just going to follow that all the way around now, that line. Just sketching it in to begin with. The only thing when you do it with a head up, you do get you do get graduation on the underneath. But I'm not worried about that at the moment. I'm just worried about getting the balance right on both sides.
We've got a question, if we can just have a mini recap, please, for those that have just sort of tuned in.
Okay, so all we've done so far is literally we've cut our first club section by pulling all the hair out with my body standing directly behind and cutting a square line all the way through and pulling everything up to meet that simple line all the way through, just a square line. Then all we've done is dried it, and now we're putting our second club cut in, which is just down the bottom, nice and square. So now that I've got that line sketched in, I can now go through and just refine it.
We've got Jo Gap. She loves watching you, Jessica, and your lovely family on Instagram.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Sarah Jane Thomas has a quick question. Why so many sections?
Okay, well, at least Stafford Education, we pre-section before we start. So all this is pre-sectioned out of the way. And the reason why we do that, it's a bit like sat-nav. When I never used to have sat-nav and I was driving somewhere, I would always get myself into a tiswas. Always end up late, always end up getting frustrated. Where when I had sat-nav, I would always get there on time, rowing with no one. And this is a bit like sat-nav. When you've got this section off like this, it's a bit of a map. I know where I'm going. I'm not going to get lost. I'm not going to get frustrated. I know I'm going to turn up on time. It takes a few minutes to put that section in, but I find it saves me a lot of time in the long run.
Thank you. We've got a hello from Abingdon and Whitney College.
Hello, Abingdon and Whitney College. How you doing, Kelly? Okay. So, getting a pretty good line on that now, right?
Looking good.
So like I said, just whack that in with the clippers straight away with the head up nice and natural. This is quite similar to how we do our one length bob in the academy. You know, we dry the sides off, just let it fall very naturally. We just go through it with the clippers, because otherwise these things, the ears really get in the way. So we do use this technique here and there with some of our recipes. Okay, so that's pretty much done now. So you can see this appears to be quite a graduated shape around the back there, even though that was just a very, very simple square line all pulled up. But if you want to bring this graduation in even tighter, and just keep your body right at the back, we're just going to work in this area here. So I'm not going to work into the sides, and all we're going to do, I'm not going to work up any further than that. We're just going to work in this little area here, right in the middle. And what you can do, you can just point your scissors like this. Just nice and gently, slowly, slowly catch a monkey. And what that will do, that will just add to the feeling of graduation around the back. So just do this, just using your eye, not going in like a bull in a china shop.
We've got another question from Dan. When is the mullet going to make it into the LSE playbook? Well,
that is a very good question, Dan. The thing is that all our recipes, we try to make them really commercial. As much as I love the mullet, you know, I don't think it's the most commercial thing to teach young people, especially when you've only got such a limited amount of time to teach young people. So what we tend to do, we tend to work on technique so that the young person can then, you know, once they've got the technique, they can stretch it and squeeze it and pull it to get whatever shapes they want. Does that answer your question, Dan?
I think it does. We've
Okay.
got North Kent College as
Hello,
well.
North Kent College. Okay, so we've got the back done, yeah? So what we're going to do now, we're going to work on this middle section. So let's take these clips out. Now what you find sometimes, if it's been resting the hair in them partings, you might get a little parting like we've got there just down the back. So you just want to put a little bit of water in that just to get rid of that parting. Otherwise it just ends up looking really ugly as you dry the haircut off. Okay, so we've got rid of that now, yeah? So we're going to do a very, very similar sectioning pattern with this middle section. So we're literally going to take another horizontal section, and what we're looking to do here is we want to cut this. I mean, this isn't actually connected to anything. So we're aware of the graduation or the hair underneath, the lengths underneath, and we don't want it to be any longer than what it is through here. And we don't want it to be spiky as well. We don't want it to stand up like Rod Stewart. So we're going to pull this straight out from the head again, not too short so it's spiky. And we want to make sure that this doesn't fall below that graduation round there, which it does. And I think I can do that a touch shorter. So whereas the first section, my feet were nailed to the floor, in this section my feet are going to follow around the haircut. So we're going to carry on taking horizontal sections. The sections don't want to be too wide around this real curve of the head here, otherwise the hair will just get longer. So more nugget size sections until we get into the sides, and you could start to take slightly bigger sections, but we're just going to follow this round. So my feet now are following this haircut round. We're still leaving the disconnection at the sides for now, and we just pull this up and cut the hair straight out from the head. Just a nice simple horizontal section all the way round to the front. My feet have just followed this section all the way round. So this is the third club cut. So we did one at the back first of all, two there, one in the middle of the back, sorry, two there. This is the third one. And we're following it all the way around the head, pulling it straight out from the head.
Hello to North Lindsay College.
Hello, North Lindsay College.
And how's Owen?
And how's Owen? How you doing, guys? Thanks for tuning in.
Ask Lee if he can provide an educated guess as to why Monster Munch are getting smaller.
Wow. I haven't had Monster Munches for years, and I mean, if you're a Monster Munch fan, I can see that being a bit of a problem. Can't you, Hannah?
I can. I mean, I like a pickled onion, and you do as well.
I love a bit of cheese with pickled onion and a twiggler. Oh, that's heaven to me.
What does everyone think of the Christmas decorations?
Yes, my wife is a Christmas nut. So as you can see, it's only just gone into October and we've already got our decorations. There's a Santa on the office there. Look. Is it too early, guys? Is it too early? What do you think?
Never too early.
Okay, so then the next section is below the next section, another horizontal section. Now we want to bring this right the way up. Literally, we're using the section before it as a guide, but when we pull this right the way up, if anything, you want to use it as a guide, but you want to even go a little bit above it, because what we're trying to do here is maintain as much length as possible underneath this section. So as you work round with them horizontal sections, pull the hair right the way up.
Chelsea has asked, are you going straight around or are you circling? So I guess
I'm sort of going round, I'm both, I think. I'm kind of going around the head, I'm working around the head in a circle, following the head shape. So yes, this is, I mean, it's quite, that first section was very similar to how we do the uniform layer in the academies, that first section. But rather than go through it and pull everything out straight from the head, now we're just pulling everything right up to it into a horizontal position. So we've done that side. So with this section, there's only 3 sections here as well. So there's 3 sections around the back and there's 3 sections here. So it's nice and fast. So right the way up, using that previous section as a guide, but if anything, going slightly, using it as a guide, a reference, should I say, but just going slightly above it so that we maintain as much weight as possible on the underneath. So now I've got the last section now.
We've got a viewer in Denmark.
Hello, Denmark. Okay, so right the way up now. So we're putting this, there's the section on the underneath we already cut. This section's going right the way up. So that way, when this falls, we're maintaining as much hair there as we can to begin with. And even more importantly so, where we haven't got that hair, the luxury of having that hair there, the more we pull this right the way up, the more hair we're going to leave to fill in that gap. So pull it all the way up, nice and simple, moving my body around, because again, if my body was over here, you might pull it all the way up and then start to over direct it, getting longer at the front. So just make sure your body is directly in front of the shape so that...
Are you pulling the tension tight as you pull the sections up, from Emma Louise?
Emma Louise, I certainly am. I'm pulling it quite tight. So I'm just making sure that it's going all the way up. That section is quite taut. And if you see around this side, for example, you know, where we haven't got the luxury of this hair here, by pulling it all the way up, when this falls, we will have hair there, and that's what we want to begin with. We want to keep that hair there. But by cutting this shorter, we're flattening the shape. So we're flattening the shape, but we still want to maintain hair length, should I say, around the bottom there. So that's all done now. We're going to take out these disconnected pieces. So because they've been in there for a little while, they might be a little bit curly. No, not too bad. So that's what we've got overhanging it. We'll take out a disconnected piece on the other side. And you can see we've got this overhang now. Okay, so for the sake of time, I did one earlier. So it's exactly the same haircut, but this one has been dried off just to save some time. So this has been cut exactly the same length as the one that I just cut. So let's get this a bit higher.
Hi, Doncaster College. We've got lots of students from Hull College as well.
Hello, how you doing, guys? Thanks for tuning in on a Sunday. I hope you had a great weekend. Okay, so now I'm going to pick the clippers up again. And what we can see on the underneath is we can see that line, the head just nice and natural. We can see that line on the underneath, can't we? If we just comb it down, we can see that line. So I can see the line is there. And now I want to work out where I want to take this line to. So you could take that line to the chin, You could take it right up there to the lip. I mean, you could do whatever you want with it, really, that line. I'm going to take it, I think, to about sort of in between the lip and the chin. So if I just comb that down nice and natural, and I'm just going to sketch this in to begin with. I'm not worried too much about getting this perfect. All I'm trying to do to begin with is just sketch in the line. I can go in and clean it all up.
Cara Foster saw you years ago at a show in Plymouth and followed your work since.
Hello, Cara. How you doing?
Plymouth is my neck of the woods, almost.
What's that?
Plymouth, almost my neck of the woods. Cornwall.
Yeah.
Almost. What's everyone thinking of the look so far? Tomorrow's first morning client.
I'm just sketching this in with the clippers. Not combing the hair too much. Just working on that line. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let's work on the other side.
Karen's asking if it's a level 2 or a level 3 recipe.
This would pretty much be a mashup of the level 2 recipe. So it'd probably be a level 3. So it's a combination of, well, this was a bit of a uniform layer at the back. The sectioning was a combination of sort of graduated bob and uniform layer. This is going to be like a long graduation, but a slightly shorter one. This is a uniform layer. So it's a bit of a combination. So I'd say it was level 3. So again, we're just sketching this line in. Aiming for the middle of the lip and the chin there. And once the line is in, and we're kind of happy with the balance, then we can go in and clean it up.
Shannon May has asked, that's amazing. How do you keep your hand so steady, and is it difficult to stick to your guideline?
How do you keep your hand steady? Not having a drink is a very good idea. And just kind of keeping the head up nice and natural, and just trying to keep as steady as you can and be committed as you put it in. Just follow the line. So now we've put that line in, you can see it's not clean at the moment, but I'm quite happy with the shape. I just want to work with this overhang. So what we're going to do first of all, we're just going to work on little sections, little sort of vertical sections, as if you would do if you were sort of layering. And all we're going to do now is we're going to bring this out, and we can see, if you come around here, Hannah, you can see the graduation as you pull it out from the underneath. So we use that as a bit of a guide to start us off. And we just use the shank of the scissor. So we're not actually closing the scissor, we're just using the shank. I mean, you could do this with a razor. You could slide it down, but I'm just pulling it up and I'm standing to the side just so I can see the sort of the layering, the graduation on the underneath. And I'm just working in this panel first, just lifting it out, can see the graduation. Just combing that down. So it visually is going to connect, but technically it won't connect at all. This is going to be very much, because the shorter layer is, well, it's under there. So yeah, that is disconnected. So I'm just going to go around now and take these bits off at the side, just visually. I could just blunt cut that bit, but I still want it to, I don't want it to be so heavy at the bottom. So just slowly, catch a monkey there.
Tony says you're making it look easy.
Thank you very much.
And Kate Wallace wished she was brave enough to go this short because she is loving this style.
Well, you can always leave this longer. I mean, you don't have to cut it this short. you know, you could pretty much do this on any length. So it could even be shoulders. So now I've got that line in there, I can just go in and take just the bits off. I've already put the solid line in with the clippers. So now I just go in and detail it. And you can see now this disconnected piece that we left there, you know, leaving that out gave the illusion of it being one length at the front. If that wasn't there, if we hadn't left that disconnected piece out there, it would have felt quite layered around the front then. So just by leaving that little disconnected piece out, yeah, it's kind of really filled in that area there.
Emma Louise is asking, because we've got the here's one we made earlier, did you blow dry the sections or flatten them with the straighteners?
That's a good question. So what I've done with them, I wrap dried it, so just making sure that all the roots were very, very natural, and then I went over it with the irons, just to make it nice and straight so that I could polish it off. I mean, once you've actually cut this, it doesn't have to be straight. I mean, you can dry it however you want, but as you can imagine, you know, having this straight, having this blow dried straight means that, you know, you can stick this line in much more sharply.
Laura Webster has asked, which haircut do you like doing the best?
I mean, I like doing all of them, to be quite honest with you. I love the short grad. I think that's a fantastic one. The long grad that we coach in our academies, and that's just a belter. I mean, I'll tell you what I love about our recipes more than anything is the way that we've simplified them. You know, that's what I love about them, and they work. You know, you follow the recipe and you just get the result. So okay, so that line's done. So we've got a nice sharp line through there. Now I'm going to work on the other side, and again, the line is already there. So all I need to do is just polish it off now.
Steve's asked, do you cut your own hair?
No, my wife cut my hair for me a couple of days ago.
She's a good un.
What's that?
She's a good un.
She's a good un, isn't she? I was blessed when I found Jess. I really was. She pulls all the nose hairs out with tweezers. I mean,
that's love.
Oh, that's love for you, isn't it?
That is love.
That is love. Okay, so you can see we've got that really sharp, haven't we? And the thing that I like about this technique of drying it off, then using the clippers, you know, the ears, whereas normally the ears would really be awkward to cut around, the ears don't come into play because the hair's just falling natural. And because you're doing it in one hit, then, you know, you can get a really sort of seamless line from the back to the sides. Okay, so that's done now. So now we're going to go on to the top. I mean, you could really sort of play around with these lines for ages, couldn't you? You know, I think you can always come back to it though. You can always come back to it and just do a bit more polishing.
Denise is asking you, what keeps you so motivated?
What keeps me so motivated? Well, I suppose doing this Facebook Live, for one, is enough to keep you motivated, because you've got to work on something that you think is going to be interesting, and more importantly for me, something that's going to be useful to people, something that hairdressers can use on their clients tomorrow, you know, and doing something that's interesting but really commercial is quite challenging and very motivating to get right. So now we're going to work on this section first of all. So what we've done with this section here is we found the high point of the head just by having the head up nice and natural, putting a comb on top of the head like that, taking the comb off, that gives you the high point. So what we did with this, we just moved that section a couple of centimetres forward of the high point, because this is going to be disconnected from this and we want this to fall over it, which it wouldn't do if it was up on the high point, it would fall back or to the sides. So now what we're going to do, we are going to take a horizontal sections, because everything's been in horizontal sections. So far we've done one club line at the occipital bone. Second club line was at the base there. That was 2. Then we've done 3 all around the top, 4 and 5 either side. This is our 6th line. So just taking a... Is that the kids? I can hear it coming up. It should be fun. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this up directly out from the head, and what I want to work out here and what I want to be cautious of is this hair falls kind of in line with this. I don't want it to be, definitely not shorter, it could be a little bit longer to begin with. So I'm going to pull this out straight out from the head there, and I'm going to cut a square line to begin with. Hello Elvis.
Hi Daddy.
Hello Angel. Have you both got lollies?
Yeah.
And you've both
lucky.
got chocolate lollies.
I thought it was too long.
How did you get a chocolate lolly?
Yes.
Can I have a bite?
Can I did.
Be careful on the hair, darling. That's health and safety, that is. Let's get that
Can
out
we
of the
do a
way.
quick risk assessment?
Okay, so here, I pulled that up.
Daddy.
Yes, Mum.
Where's Mommy? I'm here.
Mummy's coming up.
I'm here.
So with this second one, here comes Mummy.
Hi.
Here she is.
Come to join you.
Lovely.
It looks like a bomb's hit it downstairs.
Hello, Sugar.
With a wee tornado mixed in. Sugar, say hi.
Like that big. Okay, so
Yes.
back over here. So this section here, I'm now moving around with it, pulling it straight out from the head and just following a rounded line now all the way around. So as you can see, when I drop that, it's just sort of in line with this. Same on the other side. I'll now move my body around, pulling it straight out from the head. So this line is rounded. So when we brush that down, again, it's kind of in line with there. Now the next sections are going to be horizontal, and they are going to be pulled straight out from the head. So literally this is going to be over directed to that first section that is just pulled right the way up. My fingernails are looking at me. I'm moving my body around, pulling it straight out from the head.
We've got a question. Is there a recipe to match this recipe book?
There isn't yet. What we're planning on doing on Facebook Live is... does that mean you've finished your lolly?
Sorry, you're busy. You're doing something important up here. Sorry.
Mommy.
Yes.
So this is going to be, what we're going to be doing on Facebook Live is a regular thing, and it's going to be mashups of all the recipes that people have learned on level 2s. So we might mash things together like a graduated bob and a one length below, or I don't know, you can let your imagination run crazy with the things you can do from basic techniques. So like I say, this one is a combination of a long grad, uniform layer and a one length above.
This one?
So we're planning on doing these regularly, so people that have done our level 2 can use them techniques, to get other interesting shapes. And other hairdressers, of course, can, see what we're doing on here and hopefully send their apprentices to us in our academies.
So Rach Emma has asked, she goes to your academy in Dartford.
Yeah.
And she's thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
And what is your favourite hairstyle?
My favourite hairstyle? I mean, I think the one that I do the most day in, day out, my wife loves this recipe, by the way. Literally every time I do her hair, This is the one she
Just
wants.
having a little dance in the background.
And it's the twisted top.
The twisted toe!
Twisted top.
My favourite.
I mean, it's just an absolute
It's a
winner.
winner.
It's
a
just
winner.
a winner. It's just fast. It's easy. It's commercial. It's a commercial winner. Okay, so with the top, I'm just taking a section right down the middle.
Daddy, Mommy, it's a plane.
It's a what?
It's a plane.
Oh my God, it's a plane, Angel.
Up in the sky.
Up in the sky.
Plane.
So if we pull this section all the way up now, there's the section from the front that I've just cut. Let's get a little bit of water on this. So there's the section at the front, which if I checked this way, would be like a long grade because we over directed it all to the front. So I want this to be disconnected. So I'm gonna, there's the length from the fringe, so I'm gonna cut that a little bit longer. And I'm literally, just like you would do a uniform layer, I'm gonna just cut it straight out from the head. But as you can see, it was disconnected from the front, and it's very, very disconnected from this piece here. So now we're going to split this down the middle. So we've got two strong guides on either side now. And now we're going to bring everything up either side to that section that I cut through the middle.
We've had a few questions asking where their closest college would be.
If you go on to Stafford Education.com, onto the news section, there's a list of all our colleges on that page. So if you have a look, you'll definitely be able to find one there. Okay, so we've done that on that side, yeah? So now we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. We're just bringing that all the way up to the middle. And we're just following that right the way round. So it's just like right the way around the head. So it's just like a uniform layer on top.
Binky has asked, do you prefer classic, sharp, technical haircuts or more modern, messy styles?
I like both. I mean, yeah, I like both really. It all depends. It really does depend, but I like both.
And what hair type do you think this particular cut would be good
This
for?
would be brilliant on straight, wavy, curly, either. Either or, it would be great on. Okay, now, to save some time, I did one earlier, just so we haven't got to waste time drying the head off.
Oh wow.
So this is exactly the same haircut, but it's dried off. So what I'm going to do first of all, let's get this up a little bit higher. So first of all, I just think where I club cut the
Mommy, want to sit down here?
where I club cut the top. You come around this side. Just gonna still want to leave this disconnection, but I just want to loosen this up, just make this a little bit softer, just so it falls a little bit more naturally. So I'm literally just pulling it straight out. My scissors are going in vertically, so I'm not taking loads and loads of hair off. I'm still keeping that length, but just making it soft.
The lovely Sam T from Chichester is loving this cut so far. She might even demo it tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
Can this
Go
be
for it,
used
Sam.
as a competition mashup?
It certainly can. This is one of the haircuts on Facebook Live that the students can use, and copy. So by all means, go for it. So just, go on.
Gemma has asked, what's the thing you least like to do in hairdressing?
The least thing.
Mine's
Well,
washing the bowls.
Yours is?
Yeah, I hate washing the bowls.
Yeah, I've never washed that many bowls. Well, I did in the early days, but I've forgotten. I've been doing it that long. I don't really dislike doing anything. I'd say something I don't like doing, that my pet hates, is if I do a lot of playing around dressing hair and it gets kind of, and you've got to wash them and untangle them and that, it drives me crazy. Okay, so the top. Can you see that disconnection now? Yeah? So again, we just want to go with this top. Now with this top now, I'm going to go in a little bit sort of looser. So I don't mind if I actually take a fair bit of hair out. Just want to make it a little bit lighter.
So the lovely Neil has written all the academies that we have.
Yeah.
He's wrote them all for everyone to see.
Brilliant. Thanks, Neil. So I'm just loosening this top up. So as you can see around here, Hannah, have a look, right? You can see how much disconnection we've got from that piece, yeah? So we just want to loosen this up to begin with, before we think about how we're going to blend that in with the underneath. Loosening it up first of all, it just makes it a lot easier to blend in. So now that we've done that on the top,
Where are your scissors from? There's another.
These
question.
are Joelle's. Pink Joelle's, yes.
Who did your hair, Lee?
You did it, we've already talked about that.
Oh,
Yeah. So now around this back area, again, we're going to pick it up. Can you see that, the layer in the graduation on the underneath? So again, we're just going to go through this very gently. We're coming to the final bit of the haircut now. So you don't want to go in like a lunatic, taking too much hair off. Just keep cutting it, keep combing it, keep looking at it, and then adjusting it accordingly. So you don't want to work on too big a pieces. Just like, this sort of section that you would take to cut the hair.
We've got Claire Price, the owner of a pair of gold scissors 001.
Oh, hello Claire. Our first ever trainer at Lee Stafford Academy to achieve the gold scissors. Brilliant, yeah. So for those of you that don't know what the gold scissors are about, our trainers in all the 11 Lee Stafford academies, once they've hit a Big 10, let's say a Michelin star equivalent, in all our recipes that we teach, and we teach 24 of them, and once they've achieved a Big 10 in all the recipes, we give them a gold pair of Joel scissors. And the reason why we do that is because to achieve all of them Big 10s is a huge dedication, and it takes a hell of a lot of skill and passion to do it. So we wanted to give our trainers who have achieved all them Big 10s something that everyone would sort of remember every time they did some hair. So we thought a gold pair of scissors would be perfect. So so Claire was our first ever trainer to do that. So congratulations.
Well done. Olivia has asked, do you ever use a razor?
I don't, but you could use a razor quite easily if you're comfortable with razor. I am kind of razoring this because I'm not closing the scissors. So So it's kind of razoring it, but I'm using the scissors to do that. So I've just been working around this back section. And once I've done that back section, I'll then move into the sides. So I'll just turn this around so I can get a little look. So I'll do exactly the same thing. Just go through the sides, nice and slowly.
It was lovely to see you at South Shields College, and I left learning more about the twisted tongue. Thank you, Lee.
You're
That's Marie.
welcome. You're welcome. It's one of our classics, the twisted tongue. It's an absolute winner. You love the twisted tongue, didn't you, Jess?
My favourite.
That's probably what we use the most in the
Is
salon.
it?
Yeah.
What other ones? Because you're one of our trainers that goes into. Let's just see who's. Look, this is who's. There she is. There's Hannah.
Thank you.
So you go in and train college trainers, right?
Yeah.
And you've also got your own salon, Hannah.
Yeah.
So obviously you know these recipes, the recipes that we coach in the academy, inside out. So what ones are the most commercial and used in the salon?
Well, I think to start with, especially for level 2 newcomers, to get them on all of the styling techniques just gives such a brilliant understanding of hair and how it sits and how it falls. And then moving on to the cuts, well, it's just understanding hair and the head and the shape of the head.
What ones do you use most in the salon? I bet it's the long graduation.
Not probably as much actually as you may think.
What is it?
I think more the level 3 haircuts I'd personally
Really?
use.
So you use the long disconnection?
Long disconnection.
That is a belter. Isn't
Yeah.
it? That is a belter. So I'm just going through this, lifting it up. You've got to remember, this short piece is right up there. Look, it's right up there, that short piece. So, we're not connecting this to the short piece on the underneath. We're just using our eyes. And really, I suppose the shape we're looking for is, we want it to kind of be a bit sort of shorter through there and eventually fall in heavy onto that line around the front. So that's the kind of sort of shape you're trying to create in your mind's eye. Something that's a bit tighter around the back and then goes into a little bit sort of heavier onto the front. So, like I said, you could dress this out however you wanted to. You could make this a much more textured if you want. I mean, there is ways you can stretch this and pull it and squeeze it to create, loads of different shapes and lengths. I went in, with a reasonably short sort of look to begin with. But, this could be...
Ellie is asking how you got the shape around the face. If we can just recap.
So the shape around the face, there was a section on the top, there was a horseshoe section on the top, and then there was a rounded section at the front that was below the high point. And literally, we just used like the long graduation, and we just cut a shape like that, so that the length here just fooled kind of in line, roughly, with the line that we put in on the underneath. And then the top, the other section we left on the top was completely disconnected from that and everything beneath it.
And how would you trim this up in 6 weeks? We've got a question.
I mean, you'd just go about it exactly the same way. I mean, you really wouldn't treat it any different to how I've cut it here, really.
I think the key is with the sectioning, because we've sectioned 4 in preparation and they've all been sectioned so simply, all the same, really quickly.
Yeah.
Once you get that sectioning right.
You can fly for it, really, can't you?
Looking good.
Looking good. See, I keep sort of combing it down, but then sort of putting the comb away. Don't get too sort of het up and keep combing it. You just want to let the hair just fall in its natural position now, especially when you're doing all this kind of detailing at the end. You'd really just want to let the hair fall as natural as possible.
Any tips for growing out a pixie cut?
Oh, any tips for growing out a pixie cut? Well, do you know what? I always think pixie cuts grow out really well. I mean, you know, I've had haircuts like this many times and grown it out long, and I think that they always grow out really, really nice. What do you think, Hannah?
Well, we always sort of suggest that it will be a short bob in no time, so keeping the back and sides a bit shorter, letting the top
You
grow.
can do that, absolutely. But it does look nice sometimes when it's a little bit sort of scruffy as you grow it out around the
change
back.
the colour.
Change the colour's good, yeah. You know, experiment with products, that's always fun, isn't it? Experiment with colours, that can be really exciting when you're growing out your hair.
We've got another fan of your fabric diffusers.
Oh really? They're great, aren't they? The old socks.
Yeah. He's asking where can she buy one?
Well, I don't think we're actually selling them at the moment, which is most annoying because I've tried to order some, but I'm sure that we'll be getting some manufactured again very, very soon. So yeah, where did you find them before, Hannah?
Coriolis, I think.
Coriolis.
At one point.
Okay, so we're nearly done now. So it's a really, really simple shape. Oops.
We've got Tasha.
Yeah.
She's asked, she loves the texture. Do you only ever use your scissors to create texture?
I mean, yes, I do. I've never really sort of used a razor before. Not that I don't think razors are good. I mean, use whatever you're into. But I personally have been always, sort of very sassoon trained, which was always with scissors. Saying that, I had used clippers on this today, haven't I? So,
What about thinning scissors?
No, I have just discovered thinning scissors with men's hair, and I really like them, but I don't really use them with women's hair.
We've also got a question asking what colour technique you'd recommend in this style.
What
Would
colour?
you still sort of use the same sectioning patterns?
If it was what, sorry?
Colouring.
Yes, fine. It was on there. Becca. Sorry, what was that, Hannah? Sorry.
The colouring techniques. What colour?
Well, I don't do colour. What would you recommend?
I think it's very versatile. What you could colour that in any shape or form.
What was the other one I had? I had the old... So, like I say, you can dress this out however you want. I'm just going to do it very, very simply. Just show off the cut. I mean, you could...
Oh, you've got an assistant coming.
Oh, thank you, darling. That's lovely. Thank you. Shall I give that back to Mummy?
Mummy. Bring it to Mummy.
Give it to Mummy.
Bring it to Mummy. Come on. Let's go brush it. Come on.
So is this your must-have styling product?
This is the Hold Tight. This one's been going strong for... This was one of the first products I ever launched in my lineup of 12 products nearly 20 years ago, and it's still going strong today. So that is a testament to how good it is, right?
And Mike Zoom joins.
Sorry?
Mike Zoom joins.
Yeah.
He's asking if that's the diffusers on your feet.
No. But thanks for noticing. So there you go it, guys. There you go it.
There you go.
You're doing so well, babe.
Wasn't I?
There we go.
Are you at Salon International this year?
I will be going. Not sure what day, but I'm definitely going. So there's the club cut, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Woo!